In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace a leaking flow reversal valve that is connected to the beer pump. We found that if there's a manufacturer's defect, it will leak either this connection on the right, this connection on the left. On this one, you can see that there's been beer leaking on the left-hand side. Step one is to untap the keg for the line in question. You're going to need a bucket of clean water. You place the keg tap in the bucket of clean water, making sure it's fully submerged. This will allow us to go to the dispenser and prime all of the beer out of the line so that when we disconnect this, it doesn't make a big mess with getting beer everywhere. So we purge with water, step number one. With the keg tap in a bucket of water in the back, you place the dispenser in the on mode, prime mode, slide down the slider on the cup coupler, cover the nozzle, press the start button to start the flow. You're using the water that's in the bucket in the back to push the beer out of the line. Make sure that you let it flow for long enough so that all of the beer is purged out of the line. In this case, it looks like we've pushed all the beer out and we're to water. Press the stop button. Go remove the keg coupler from the bucket of clean water. With the keg tap sitting on top of the keg, not connected to anything and not in the bucket of water, repeat the same process as before. This time making sure to hold on to the glass, because when the water empties from the system, you're going to see a very large amount of carbon dioxide will get pushed out that could make a mess if you do not have it covered with a cup. So you can see that now there's just air with a little bit of water coming out. Press the stop button again. Now return to the keg room. You can hear the beer pump is still trying to pressurize the line with no liquid in it. This is the pump in question. You can see that little bit of foam right there on the flow reversal. We need to turn the gas off to this and then relieve the pressure that is in the system still. To do that, on the left-hand side of the panel, you can see this regulator. This is an older style of panel. This is the beer pump regulator. On our new panels, there's two regulators right next to each other. They list keg and beer pump. You want to make sure to shut both of them off for the panel. So there's a lever on this older version. You can see we stopped that side. There's one on the right over here. We need to make sure to shut it off as well. And then now we're working on this line that we have purged. Here's an example of the new updated panel with the regulators that you're going to have to be shutting off. You'll shut off the keg regulator and the beer pump regulator. You open up the bleed off on the empty keg detector and you'll hear air rushing out of it, bubbling happening. We leave this open until this releases all of its pressure from the system. All the pressure has been released. You can see that there's still a little bit of water in here. When we remove the flow reversal, there'll be some spillage, but since we purged the line, you will not be spilling beer all over everything. We are now ready to remove the flow reversal valve here. It's difficult to see, but on the back side of this beer pump, there's a little tab back here. You can hear me kind of clicking on it. There's also a tab right behind this 90-degree connector, one on this 90-degree connector, and then another tab on the back of the beer pump. The easiest way to remove this flow reversal is to use, in this case I'm using a slotted screwdriver. You can use a key, you can use a butter knife, you could use a ballpoint pen. You hook that slide, so I'm right in front of it, and you push it back. The click is it releasing into the disconnected position. You do the same on the other side on the bottom of the beer pump, and then you see that this now releases directly from the bottom. Repeat the process with the connector on the right, sliding it backwards, the connector on the left, sliding it backwards as well. You then can pull the connector that goes to the keg and the connector that goes to the empty keg detector. So this is the flow reversal. You can see here's the slides that we were talking about. It goes in the beer pump in this direction. So slide 1, slide 2 on this side. The other slides are on the beer pump itself. Remove the factory tested in our warehouse to make sure they don't leak new reversal valve. You'll take it out of the bag. You will remove the 90-degree connectors that are on it currently, making sure they're slid all the way back or they won't release. So in this case, if it's any forward at all, it won't come out. So it needs to be all the way back and it comes out nice and easy. So if you're having to fight it, make sure that you've slid the connector or the slider all the way back and it pops right out. You then place it into the bottom of the beer pump, making sure it's fully seated. Reaching behind, sliding the tab on the right forward, the tab on the left forward. It should slide right in. If you're having to fight it, make sure that the flow reversal valve is seated. Take the connector on the right hand side, slide it in, lock it in. Connector on the left, slide it in, also lock it in. Now we are safe to close the valve on the empty keg detector. We can re-tap the keg and turn the gas back on. Reconnect the keg, tap the keg, turn both the CO2 to the kegs back on, the CO2 to the pumps back on. Bleed the empty keg detector off until all of the air is completely out of the vessel. Now it's time to go to the dispenser. Now that the keg has been retapped and the flow reversal has been replaced, return the circuit board in question to the on position. Press the prime button, slide the ring down, cover with the cup, and now we have to purge beer back into the line. The beer will push the remaining water that's in the line out. You'll see some foaming like we're seeing right now. When it gets to clear beer again, which shouldn't take very long, the process is completed. You can go back to auto mode and you'll be ready to use your dispenser again.